Think of graphing complex numbers as graphing in another dimension, as if I or negative I is what happens when numbers are rotated. So if I start with the number 5, that's right there on the number line. Now if I multiply that times I will get 5i. That's 90 degrees rotated up, and it's right there in the top of the imaginary dimension. Now if I take 5i and multiply it times I again, that will give me 5i squared, which is negative 5, and that's back down in the real dimension at negative 5. One more time, I take negative 5 and multiply it times I, which gives me negative 5i, which is another 90-degree rotation down. And if I do that one more time, multiply 5i times I get negative 5 times I squared, which is going to lead me right back to where I started with at 5. So every time I multiply times I'm doing a 90-degree rotation. So the complex plane, I have a horizontal real portion and I have a vertical imaginary portion. Again, every time you multiply times it rotates at 90 degrees. All complex numbers are in the form a plus bi. I have a negative a and positive a, which is my real, my positive I and negative I, which are my imaginary. Negative 3 is graphed on the horizontal axis, right where it would be if it was negative 3 on the coordinate plane. Then I graph 1 plus the square root of 2, which is approximately 2.4. Same place it would be if it was on the coordinate plane. Now, the next one for C, 2 plus I. That means I go 2 over in the real portion, and then up I. So my graph of my point would just be at over 2 up I, that's where C is. So the next point D, I go over 3 and then up 2. That would be my point for 3 plus 2i, that point is D. The next point is going to be negative 1 minus 2i, so that way you go to the left and then down. So my point E would be graphed right there at negative 1 minus 2i. My next one is 2 minus a half I, so I go over to the right 2, down a half. So F would be plotted right about there. Negative 3i has no real portion, so I just go straight down to plot point G. And my last one that I'm going to do is H, which is negative 2. So I go to the left, negative 2, and then up 1 unit for the imaginary portion, and that would be H. So graphing imaginary numbers are just like graphing on the coordinate plane, only we use the real portion and then the imaginary portion.